Hey everybody, welcome to this lesson on a tune by Blackberry Smoke called One Horse Town. So today is going to be the first part of this lesson on this song, and to be multiple series coming up with video. So this one actually is going to be the very first one with just the riff of the tune, the thing that actually starts out the song. And it starts around 26, 27 seconds into the tune. And it's just a guitar riff. There's no chords with it, although I do supply chords to what happens with the riff when it comes in. So I'm going to share that with you right now, and you get to see what I'm talking about. So here it is. Okay, there we go. So there is the riff. It's just the pickup measure. It actually starts on counts 3 and 4. So you're going to hear a lot of keyboard in the beginning. So if you're familiar with the tune, you know what happens within the song. So the song itself has a keyboard part going along with it, again, for like the first 26, 27 seconds. And then the riff starts in. So the riff is just the riff. There's chords attached to the notes of the riff, but we're just going to focus on just the notes, okay? That's all it's going to be. And we have our little fretboard diagram here on the bottom, so you can follow what happens with the riff. So it's good to start with the riff and then eventually add all the parts in, which is what this lesson series will do. We'll start with just riffs, then we'll start to attach more parts to the tune in the way it actually runs, okay? So I'm going to play it for you. The tempo is 119. Okay, it's not really a complex tune, but at this speed, it might feel a little too fast. So I'll change the tempo on this one so you can hear it at a slower speed. Okay, but for now, I'm going to play it for you from the beginning so you get to hear what's going on. Okay, so a couple things about the score. Like I mentioned before, there's a pickup measure. So this actually looks incomplete if you're looking at it rhythmically and if you can read music. The tune starts on counts 3 and 4 for the guitar part, okay? And it's just acoustic guitar. Acoustic guitar starts off the tune when the music comes in after the keyboard part. The other parts of the tune I want to discuss is the repeat signs. The A minor chord, you can play that if you want to. It's pretty much like a 8th note strum pattern with some 16ths thrown in, which we'll get to in a later video. But you can play the chord there if you want to when that part comes in. And the first and second endings, which are these guys, you'll see number 1 and number 2. So what you do with those is when you start from the pickup measure into the tune, you're going to play as far as this when you do the repeat, which is over here. So the first time around, we play to this moment here, and then we go back to the beginning, play through these 2 bars, and then we skip ahead to the second ending, okay? That's how that works. So it's a little bit of a roadmap rather than writing out all the measures. This is the shorthand that's used when you're working with a tune, okay? From this part, even though it looks like it's ending here, it's the end of the riff, but then the verse starts in after that. So again, this is just the introduction, right? And I even wrote in the beginning, very small right there, intro. Let me blow that up a little bit so you can see it. Let's jump up to 150. Yeah, you'll see the intro. It's a little bit bigger, right? A little bit easier to see. So as I play through the riff again, I'm going to slow this down. I'm not going to physically play it yet, but I want to take the tempo down. Let's go to, I could slice it in half. Yeah, we'll do 60, screw it. Okay, that's good. So take that tempo right there. So I changed to 60 just for the playback, okay? And we'll talk about these guys in a moment because that's the 2 chords you're going to hear in the tune, and I indicated those chords here for here. These 2 measures are all about A minor with the riff, and the C chord for these 2 bars. And when you go back to the beginning, it's A minor again, and then second ending, oh, I didn't put the C chord in, but the C chord happens there. So I'll do a correction on that. But C chord happens right in here. But again, we're just working on riffs. We're not going to worry about, you know, what's going to happen. And I should actually add that in right now. Let's see. Going to pop that in real quick. Okay, these are open. So there we go, right in here. That's what we want. So, whoops, we don't want that. Okay, and that should give us the C chord. There we go, now it's there. Okay, so back to the beginning. We're gonna hear it through at the slower speed, so here it goes. So that keeps it nice and slow. You can approach the riff. You can play it through as many times as you want at this part of the video. Now for the chords, you can see I added the chord there in the second ending. First and second endings have the same chord, by the way. All right, let's get back to the chord. So you can see the C chord. If you've seen other videos on chords that I've done, you should probably know what's in the chord by now. And if not, this is good. A little bit of review. So a little bit of going over again. C, E, and G spells out the C chord, and then we have an extra C and an extra E in this particular way of playing it. And that's the way they play it in the song. So that's the heart of the C chord that they use. And for A minor, whoops, whoa, oh, sorry, we get A minor. A, C, and E spell out the A minor chord, and you can see the layout, your sort of standard A minor chord, okay? And that's the deal with the chord front. And in later videos, more installments on this lesson, we're going to notate out the chords and also the strum pattern, okay? So if you're going with, I'm just going to stop the share for a second. If you go into the riff part, you know, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Then the verse starts in with D minor, and that's going to be a later lesson on this tune. So you can see in the right hand what I was doing for the eighth notes, that 1 and 2 and, or 3 and 4, and if you take it from the pickup measure, down and up for the right hand eighth notes, it works out perfect when you can actually alternate with the right hand. If you want to do all down strums, you could. That feels easier, you can do that. Typically with eighth notes, you could alternate, or you could just do one direction. It just depends on what you want to do. So I didn't actually indicate any right hand parts in terms of strumming or picking in this case, because it's just the riff. So anything picking wise, you can decide what you want to do with that. I tend to play with a alternate on that particular part. But if you want to make it like a pick study or a right hand study, you can just all down pick it or all up pick it. It just depends on what you want to do. I would suggest, you know, keeping it as simple as possible, because it is a simple tune. It's not about the complexity of the music. It's more about what the story of the song is about. So that type of thing in terms of complexity in music, it won't factor in because it's all about storytelling, right? So it's a really cool tune. If you're just starting out playing and you want to get into a tune, this is a good selection. And I'm going to include, at the end of this video, I'm going to include the first lesson I did on this, but it was capoed up at 5th fret. And I actually displayed on a sheet of paper the chords that are used in that location, even though they don't use a capo on the song. Because there's an F chord in this tune without the capo, which can be a little more difficult. So I did a lesson with the tunes up at 5th fret to make it a little bit easier. So, but anyway, this lesson is easy too because it's only about the notes. There's no chords being shown in terms of playing or strum patterns. So I want to keep it really straight ahead for this one. Let's go back to the share. Okay, so I just left off with it played at 60. The tempo is 119. That's the tempo they play it at. You know, give and take. It's not completely, you know, metronomic. There is some push and pull in the tempo. Okay, so that's pretty much about it. The fretboard diagram, you'll see, you know, if you're working on the notes, you'll see them highlighted in your fretboard diagram when you play back this video. And you can use the playback settings on YouTube for changing the speed to slow it down, or you can speed it up, whatever you want to do with that. Just go back to your playback settings or play speed settings. However they label it on YouTube, you can select that option in the settings for the video, and you can change your tempo. So you got to hear it at actual tempo first, and then the slower tempo, just for the ease of starting it out. Okay, so there you go. That's the deal with that. Let's do one more playthrough, just so you get the idea at the slower speed. Okay, and make sure it's back at the beginning. Here we go. Alright, now I'm going to change the tempo to the original, which is 119. So there we go. Okay. Alright, so let's hear it at this speed now too. Okay, so you get some goals to shoot for with this tune in terms of playing the riff. Okay, here it goes. Okay, now this tune is actually in the key of C, so that's something you'll hear over time in terms of what tunes are about in terms of being in a certain key. And if you know your chords per key, the rest of the chords that will show up for this song will be pretty much understood and known ahead of time. So that kind of gives a little bit of a lean into what's going to happen on future posts on this lesson. So this is part 1, and part 2 will be filmed next week. So I'll be posting that when it's done. And on that lesson, I'm going to do more of the chord parts, into the verse, the strumming, including on the intro. Okay, so the riff is the riff. So the next lesson will be more chord based along with the riff. Okay, so there you go, guys. That's the deal. If you like the video, feel free to like it. And also, if you want to subscribe, you're more than welcome to do it. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to attach the video, the first video I did in the song, I'm going to attach to this one so you can go back and or you can go and see it actually. So hopefully that helps you and gives you an idea of like different ways you can play the tune. You can play it without a capo or with a capo. So either way you want to slice the tune, you can approach it in 2 different ways. But for the lesson series, I'm going to be focusing in on the version without the capo, and then I might do a separate series that focuses on using the capo to make it perhaps a little bit easier to play, and some options too. So all right, guys, have a great one. Thanks for coming by and viewing this video. I hope it helps you out, and stay tuned for more videos. Take care.